Oscar Peterson, Ray Charles, and Dr. John all have one thing in common. They are masters of playing the blues. Blues was one of the first styles of music that I learned to play, and in this video I'm going to break down 3 classic blues piano grooves that you can play next time you want to jam. Let's dive in. Hello, welcome back to the Keys Coach YouTube channel. My name's Adam and thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you haven't checked out the channel before, I help piano players get a little bit more creative at the keys. And today is no exception because today we're looking at the blues. Now this is one of the most widely requested videos on the channel so far. People are always leaving stuff in the comments, people are sending me emails. I also did a poll a couple of weeks ago where I asked you what style of music do you want me to cover, and hands down blues was the winner. So here is the video. Now before I take you through some of the patterns I use when I'm playing a 12-bar blues, we really need to understand that structure. A 12-bar blues is one of the most famous chord sequences of all time, and it uses 3 chords. Chords 1, 4, and 5. And we're going to do this in the key of C, so those 3 chords will be C7, F7, and G7. So we're going to start off just by using our left hand, and we're going to play this rhythm. That is sometimes known as a Charleston rhythm. You can sometimes think of it as Charleston, Charleston. It comes from the old dance, the 20s dance that people used to do. And we're going to do that on each chord. And if you're wondering what notes I'm playing the root in my little finger. So on C7, that will be a C. And in my thumb, I'm playing the flat 7, which in this case is a B flat. So we got the root and the 7th. And then during the chord sequence, we're going to change chords to chord 4. So there is our left hand shape for chord 4. I've got the root there, which is an F, and I've got the flat 7, which is an E flat. So there's the shape for F7. And then later on, we're going to go to chord 5, which is G7. So it's going to be, my little finger's going to play a G, and then my thumb is going to play the flat 7, which is an F. So we've got C7, F7, and G7. So those are our 3 shapes. I'm going to have a go at playing the whole of the 12-bar blues just using those shapes in my left hand, and on each chord I'm going to do this rhythm, the Charleston rhythm. Let's give it a go. So we're going to start on C7, chord 1. Then we move up to F7, back to 1. Up to G7, down to F, back to C. Now, for those of you who have been watching this channel for a while, you know the drill by now. I want you to be able to practice all of this stuff at home. So I've put together a free PDF lesson book which you can download. It contains all of the notation for everything I'm covering today. And for those of you that want to go a little bit further, I've also put together a bunch of backing tracks at different tempos. So if you want to really slow all of this stuff down, you can go and grab that as well. Both links are in the video description, and all the proceeds from those backing tracks go back into producing amazing content for the people on the channel. We now need to add some kind of riff or repeated pattern that gives the music some kind of movement and some kind of melody to latch onto. So I'm going to take you through one of the first riffs I learned on the piano, which is this. It's an absolutely classic blues riff. It actually sounds a little bit like Frank Sinatra's That's Life. I don't know it too well, but that kind of gives you an idea. Does that ring any bells? That kind of idea. But we're not going to play the whole riff like that. We're just going to do this. I'm going to do that really slowly for you. So what am I doing there? Well, I'm toggling between the upper part of my hand and the lower part of my hand. And I'm really using 2 different chords. I'm using chord 1, which is there, but then in the middle of that, I'm going to this chord here, which is an F major chord. This is a chord 4 in the key of C. Do you see that? So I've got a C chord and an F chord within that little pattern. And this kind of sound of going between chords 1 and 4 is just everywhere in the blues. And I'm not talking about the chord change when we go to chord 4 in the sequence. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about that little switch between 1 and 4 when you're on the C7 at the beginning of the sequence. It's this kind of sound. Can you see? We're just on the C chord, but I'm moving between chords 1 and 4, the C and the F, and it just gives it a bit of movement. And this kind of sound is all over the blues. So if I go back to my sequence and my little riff, that's basically what I'm doing there. I'm just moving between that chord 1 and that chord 4 when I'm on the C7. What you can also do is do a little smudge in the middle of the chord. Watch this. Watch really closely. Do you see that on that first movement? I'm just smudging that E flat up to the E. And that's just kind of everywhere in this style of music. So we play that 4 times. We're then going to take that exact pattern and we're going to transpose it up to F7. Exactly as it is, we're just going to move it up to the new chord. And that would look like this. I'll do that really slowly. You can see on that F7 chord, we're moving between F and B flat. B flat is chord 4 in the key of F. Don't worry too much about that, but just get used to that kind of movement in this style. And then the last chord in the sequence is G7. So here's the pattern on G7. I'll do that once more. Let's see if we can play that pattern on every chord in the 12-bar blues, just in our right hand. And let's play this with the backing track. Up to F. Back to C. Up to G. F. C. So we're now going to try and add in our left hand at the same time as playing that riff. Now if you remember, we were doing that Charleston rhythm with the root and the 7th. So where does that fall in relation to the riff? Well, let me break it down for you really slowly. Did you spot where the left hand played in relation to that riff? It's on the F chord. You know we're moving? It plays when we hit that chord. Watch. Do you see that? And we're going to do that for each chord in the sequence. So when we get to F, it would look like this. And then G. Yeah, it's hard to put them together. When you learn a left-hand part on its own and then you learn a right-hand part, you might be able to do them on their own. But sometimes when you put them together, it's kind of just like, how do I even make this happen? You have to break it down really slowly. And the key is to identify where your hands are playing in relation to each other. So I know it goes left hand first, then my right hand plays the riff, but then my left hand plays there as well. It's like you have to really break it down into the sort of minuscule little moments in the groove. Okay, let's have a go at playing that all the way through with the track. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, that is so fast, I don't think I can play it at that speed just yet, find a way to simplify it. This is something we all have to do as piano players. You have to find a way to make it simpler, to still kind of get the same effect, but just to kind of reduce the level of difficulty. So a couple of ways you can do that. You can slow it down, or you can actually just take out that second half of the Charleston rhythm. So you can just play and then leave it at that in your left hand. So the whole thing would be, and your left hand doesn't play that second part. Once you've got that down over the sequence, then add in that Charleston, the full Charleston rhythm with the right hand riff. This is the second groove we're going to learn, and I call this the Jerry Lee Lewis, mainly because it sounds so much like the song Great Balls of Fire by, of course, Jerry Lee Lewis. It's such a classic riff, particularly in this kind of blues, boogie-woogie kind of style. Now, we're going to simplify it very slightly. Let me show you what we're going to do. We're going to keep our left hand the same, playing that Charleston rhythm through each chord. And in my right hand, I'm going to do another kind of toggle where I'm moving between the lower part of my hand and the upper part of my hand. So here's what I'm playing. Do you see that? I'll do that once more. So what are the notes I'm playing there? Well, I've got the root down here, and then I've got the flat 5 with the root at the top, and I'm just moving between the flat 5 and the regular 5. So the whole thing is this. It's a beautiful little pattern. And the rhythm I'm doing is da 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 da, like triplets. I'll do it again. Da 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 da. The whole thing is this. There it is. I'll do it again. Now if we transpose that whole thing up to the F7, we get this. So I've got an F down the bottom, a C in the middle, an F up the top, and I'm just moving between the B and the C at the top half of my hand. And then if we do the same thing for the G, I've got the G at the bottom, the flat 5 there in the C sharp, going up to the D. So there's the whole pattern. So I'll play each of them. We've got the C7, the one for F7, and then G7. Get those down. See if you can play them, even if it's really slow. Just see if you can really get that. You know, it's so much fun to play. I'm going to have a go at playing that through with the track, and I'm also going to add in my left hand playing that Charleston rhythm all the way through. Let's have a go. Now that is a challenge to play, particularly at that fast tempo, but you can try and find ways to simplify it. So you can literally just play one chord in your left hand. Don't play the second half of that Charleston rhythm. If you want to simplify it even more, you can actually take out the sort of end of the riff and just play that. That's another way. And you can gradually kind of work your way up to getting the full pattern together. The third groove we're going to learn is actually my favourite. Whenever I'm jamming over a 12-bar blues, particularly in a band or even on my own, I'll opt for something like this, just to kind of hold the pattern down and hold the whole groove down. So let me just show you the pattern on C7 so you can get an idea of what it sounds like. There it is. Now I'm going to break it down really slowly for you. I'm actually going to separate the hands out. So here's the left hand part. See, we're actually going root 5th, and then we're going up to the 6th, and then the flat 7. It's just a little pattern. And you see we're hitting that root at the beginning of each bar. It goes root, root, the C, root. So get that really secure. I'm then going to add in my right hand thumb. So look at how they work together. So you can see my right hand is kind of mimicking the shape that my left hand is doing a little bit. That root is still happening on its own, but then it goes root and it's moving. These notes in my right hand are the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th of C7. And they're moving in a 6th, there are lots of numbers in music, aren't they? But if you really want to know why that sounds so kind of harmonious, it's because it's a 6th interval. There are 6 notes between the note in my left hand and the note in my right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now there is still one little bit to add. I'm going to add in my little finger. Check this. So my little finger's just playing on every single chord, apart from that little bit where the root plays. It's just a really nice little groove. And if you want to make it sound even better, what you can do is smudge that F sharp up to the G when you get there. Watch. The F sharp up to the G. It just creates that little kind of bit of character on that chord. Sort of blink and you miss it again. It's like we did it before. It's great. I know I'm covering a lot of ground here, but I really think this is what people want on the channel. They just want that next level that just kind of like really boosts their piano playing. Check it out. So there it is on the C7. Now what does it sound like on the F7? Now I'm going to go down to the F7 rather than up. I think it sounds better down there. So there's the F7 pattern. I'll do it really slowly for you. And again, I'm smudging that note. I'm smudging that B up to the C. There it is on the F7. Now here's the G7. I'll do that slowly. And again, the C sharp is being smudged up to the G. It's those little details that give the music so much character. Okay, I'm going to have a go at playing that pattern through the whole sequence. So just to remind you, we've got C7, then we've got F7. And just a quick point, when you're going between C7 and F7, there's a really quick switch. Watch. You see, that might take a little bit of practice just to get that as smooth as possible. We've also got G7 as well, which is here. There it is. Okay, I'm going to have a go at playing the whole of the 12-bar blues using that pattern on each chord. Here we go. Let's go again. Woo, there we go. Thanks so much for watching this video. I do hope you found it useful. Don't forget to go and grab your free PDF lesson book. The link to download that is in the video description. And if you've been enjoying the videos on this channel, it would be amazing if you could hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. All of those things really help the channel to grow and help us reach new people. That would be amazing if you could do that. And if you're looking for another video to take your keys playing to that next level, check out this video right here.